Hi everybody, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 7 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you some new information about how to help you create the life you want. Today I want to talk about the concept of frames of reference. I was inspired by a podcast from Invisibilia. If you haven't checked them out, I would encourage you to do that. Wonderful podcast on this subject. It got me thinking about how we, those of us who want to have more influence in our lives and the lives of others, could use this concept to become more influential. So what does that mean? Frame of reference, kind of a psychology term. It basically means, what do we reference when making decisions? Now, babies don't have any frame of reference, so they don't really understand what's going on around them. But the cool thing about being a baby is you don't know that you don't have a frame of reference. You don't have a frame of reference that you don't have a frame of reference, and therefore it's really not that big a deal. So babies are always learning and just kind of soaking up everything, building frames of reference. This kind of goes on and on and on and on through childhood, and you get to adulthood, and we now find ourselves with certain frames of reference that have been created based on our experience. And if that experience has been positive, we were loved and we were valuable, we see ourselves as lovable and valuable, and the world is a place where we can make a difference, then that's a frame of reference. If that hasn't been the case, unfortunately, that is a frame of reference as well. And the problem is all of this is unconscious. There's a quote I use from Albert Einstein in my seminars that says, problems cannot be solved at the same level of awareness that created them. In order for us to become more influential in our lives and in the lives of others, we've got to raise that unconsciousness to consciousness. We've got to recognize what those frames of reference are and then determine, do we want to keep them? Do we want to change them? It's one of the reasons I love having people in my seminars and books kind of create a list of what are the qualities and characteristics that are you at your best. If you wanted to create the best you, what would that look like? And I encourage people to make a list of these 20 qualities and characteristics so you know what you're going for. So then you can say, okay, clear, confident, creative, compassionate, that's who I want to be. What's the frame of reference I can adopt that will allow me to access these qualities and characteristics? And for those of you who follow my Life from the Top of the Mind philosophy, you know these qualities and characteristics come from a very specific part of the brain, the upper 80% of the brain, the neocortex, what I call the top of the mind. That frustration, that stress, that anxiety, that anger, that resentment, those are all brainstem responses that come from a certain frame of reference. If we can begin to look at the frame of reference that is creating these different emotions, again, we can determine which ones we want to keep, which ones we want to change. And do we want to influence others? If so, we've got to influence their frame of reference. We can't just give them facts, because those facts are being filtered through a certain frame of reference, and that will determine whether they see what we have to say as valuable or not. In my books and seminars, there is a example I use. It's the dog example. You got basically 3 people in a room. You bring a dog into the room. One of these people is afraid of dogs. The other one loves dogs. And the third one has never seen a dog before in his life. The one that's afraid of dogs has a frame of reference that dogs are dangerous. She runs away in fear. The person that loves the dogs has a frame of reference that dogs are wonderful. She runs toward the dog for a hug. The person who's never seen a dog has no clue what to do because he has no frame of reference, and he's just seen one person run away and the other person run forward. He is confused. So what we want to recognize is the dog is the fact. The dog isn't creating the fear, the joy, or the confusion. What's creating those 3 totally different responses are 3 totally different frames of reference. So again, what I suggest we do is look at our beliefs, look at our perceptions. It's another way of kind of defining what a frame of reference is. It's what we believe to be true, especially around those aspects of life that in the past have triggered the reactions that we don't want, the stress, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger, traffic, difficult people, difficult situations, not getting what we want sometimes. If we'll look at that and say, okay, it's not the traffic, it's not the situation that's making me feel a certain way. I don't want to hold a frame of reference that says I am being defined by the situations I'm in, or I'm being made to feel a certain way by difficult people, difficult situations. That in itself is a frame of reference. No. I want to recognize that it's this middle part of the brain, this scanner, processor, router part of the brain, the limbic system, that's making this determination, and that is normally unconscious. If we can bring that to consciousness and say, aha, the reason I'm acting this way, or reacting this way really, is because I have this certain frame of reference around traffic, around difficult people, around difficult situations. Now that's not wrong or bad. If it's working for you, if it's something you would teach to someone you love, great, hold on to it. Because by the way, we do have certain frames of reference that we don't have to change because they're working wonderfully for us. But that's the criteria. Is it helping us bring out our best? Is it helping us be a way, respond in a way that we would teach to those we love, recommend to those we love? If so, that's there. We don't have to do anything. If not, we want to change that frame of reference and begin to practice seeing the situation or this difficult person in this way so that it starts to become a habit. They say it only takes 21 days to change a habit. I think that might be a little ambitious, but certainly, hey, 2 months. If we practice viewing this particular person or situation in a certain way for a period of a month or 2 months, then what happens is that starts to become a new habit because that starts to create new neural pathways that go now from our limbic system to our neocortex versus our limbic system to our brainstem. So if you're excited about the science behind how we can become more influential in our lives and the lives of others, I encourage you to go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, or just Google Bill Crawford, Ph.D. I'll come up on the first page. Hit the contact button. Let me know what you're interested in. If you want me to come and do a workshop or a presentation to your organization about frames of reference, about how to become more influential in that, again, go to the website, Google me. I'd love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here's to you bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity, creating frames of reference around clarity, confidence, and creativity, bringing more and more of that to your life. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.